The bridge of the Galactic Council's flagship Eternity's Reach hummed with desperate energy. Admiral Zythros of the Kalrathi Empire watched the tactical display with 4 of his 6 eyes, each pair revealing a different spectrum of the carnage unfolding before him. The Devourers had come just as the ancient warnings had prophesied, a swarm of biomechanical nightmares that consumed everything in their path, shields at 40%. His tactical officer shrieked, mandibles clicking in terror. The Terrazine fleet is gone. The Vathari dreadnoughts are falling back. Zythros felt the familiar weight of defeat settling on his shoulders. 15 species had united under the Council banner, bringing their mightiest vessels to this choke point at the Kessler Nebula. They had fought for 6 hours. They were losing. All ships prepare for retreat vector Gamma, he commanded, his translator converting his multi-toned voice into the common trade language. We cannot, sir. The communications officer's feathers stood on end. Unknown vessel emerging from slipspace. Transponder reads, human? A collective silence fell across the bridge. The humans. Those strange mammals from the far spiral arm who had only joined the council 3 cycles ago. Their single representative, Ambassador Chen, had sat quietly in council chambers, speaking little, observing much. They had sent no ships to the battle. Most assumed they were too primitive, too frightened, or too wise to involve themselves in a war that had already claimed billions. On the display, a vessel materialized. It was smaller than a dreadnought, but larger than a cruiser. An awkward in-between that violated most principles of warship design. Its hull was matte gray, angular and covered in strange protrusions. To Zythros' experienced eye, it looked almost crude. Receiving transmission, the communications officer announced. A human appeared on the view screen, young by their standards, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to absorb light. He wore a simple black uniform with minimal insignia. This is Captain Neo of the UHSF Indomitable. We're here to help. Zythros' translator nearly glitched on the word indomitable. It implied something that could not be conquered, could not be subdued. What hubris, he thought, for a species that had never faced the Devourers. Captain Neo. Zythros replied, trying to keep condescension from his voice. Your courage is noted, but you should retreat. The Devourers cannot be stopped by conventional means. We have brought the galaxy's finest warships and we are failing. Neo smiled, a curious baring of teeth that humans use to express confidence. Admiral, with respect, you've never seen unconventional. Before Zythros could respond, the Indomitable accelerated, not with the smooth gravitational propulsion of council ships, but with blue-white fusion torches that burned like captured stars. The human vessel didn't maneuver around the swarm. It drove straight into the heart of it. Madness, Zythros whispered. The Devourers converged on the Indomitable like predators sensing easy prey. Their acid pods splashed against the human ship's hull. Their rail spikes hammered its armor. Their particle beams scorched its surface. The council ship's shields would have failed in seconds. The human ship's shields didn't fail. They didn't even appear to activate their hull. It's regenerating, the tactical officer gasped. That's not a blade of armor, it's kinetic barriers interspersed with self-sealing reactive plates. Neo's voice came through clearly, as if he were giving a casual lecture. We humans learned something a long time ago. The best defense isn't avoiding damage. It's surviving it. The Indomitable rotated on its axis, and Zythros finally understood those strange protrusions on its hull. They were weapons, dozens of them, hundreds perhaps, of wildly different designs. As he watched, the human ship opened fire. Railguns, primitive but devastating, launched tungsten rounds at relativistic speeds. Missiles with complex guidance systems wove through the swarm, each finding targets with unnerving accuracy. Laser batteries carved through Devourer carapaces, while something the humans called coil guns punched holes clean through the smaller organisms. There were even chemical explosive warheads, archaic weapons that no civilized species had used in millennia, each detonating with brutal efficiency, but it was the strange weapon that truly horrified and amazed Zythros. The humans had mounted what they called a nuclear pulse propulsion system on their ship, using controlled thermonuclear explosions for thrust. Neo had weaponized it, launching nuclear warheads directly into the densest concentrations of Devourers. The Devourers, for the first time since the battle began, hesitated. That's right, Neo's voice cut through the chaos. We're the species that split the atom. then learned to play with it. We're the species that climbed out of our gravity well on controlled explosions. We don't build elegant weapons, we build weapons that work. The Indomitable carved through the swarm like a blade through flesh. But Neo wasn't finished. He began transmitting tactical data to the Council fleet, targeting solutions, weak points in Devourer formations, optimal firing patterns. Admiral Zithros, Neo said, your plasma lances are elegant, but you're using them wrong. Fire at these coordinates. Trust me. Zithros looked at his tactical officer, who nodded slowly. His solutions are mathematically perfect, sir. All ships, Zithros commanded, follow the human's lead. What happened next would be recorded in galactic histories for millennia. The Council fleet, coordinated by a single human captain, began fighting not as 15 separate species, but as one unified force. The Vathari dreadnoughts provided cover while the Terrazine frigates executed precision strikes. The Eternity's Reach itself, under Neo's guidance, eliminated 3 Devourer capital organisms in as many minutes, and at the center of it all, the Indomitable fought with a ferocity that defied understanding. Neo's crew, Zithros could hear them in the background, shouting encouragement to each other, playing what sounded like war drums, seemed to revel in the chaos. Where other species saw overwhelming odds, humans saw a challenge to overcome. 2 hours later, the Devourers retreated. Not destroyed, that was impossible, but driven back. Bloodied, their advance halted. As the last of them slipped into dark space, Neo reappeared on the view screen. His uniform was disheveled, and there was a cut above his eye, but he was grinning. Admiral, I believe that's what we humans call a good start. Zithros felt all 6 of his eyes widening. Captain Neo, how? Your species is young, your technology less advanced than ours. How did you achieve this? Neo's grin faded into something more serious, more profound. Admiral, we come from a death world, a planet that tried to kill us in 1,000 different ways. We survived ice ages, supervolcanoes, plagues, and predators. We fought wars among ourselves for thousands of years. Terrible, brutal wars that taught us how to be efficient at violence. We didn't reach the stars because we were peaceful. We reached them because we're survivors. We're problem solvers, and when we see something that everyone says is impossible. He paused. We take that as a personal challenge. Zithros understood then why the humans had been so quiet in council chambers. They hadn't been timid or frightened. They had been watching, learning, preparing. The galaxy wasn't ready for the Devourers, Zithros said slowly, but it seems the Devourers weren't ready for humanity. Neo nodded. No one ever is, Admiral. No one ever is. As the Indomitable moved to begin recovery operations, Zithros made a note in his personal log. The humans have entered the galactic stage. The balance of power has shifted. May the cosmos help anyone who makes an enemy of Earth.